In February of 2013, while investigators in Los Angeles were still trying to figure out what happened to Elisa Lam, an entirely different crisis exploded across Southern California, one that would pull nearly every available officer away from her case and consume the attention of the entire region for 9 terrifying days. The man at the center of it was Christopher Dorner, a former Los Angeles police officer who had once served in the United States Navy before joining the LAPD. In 2008, Dorner was fired from the department after he accused a fellow officer of using excessive force against a suspect, an accusation the department investigated and ultimately rejected, ruling that Dorner had lied. He spent years afterward trying to fight his termination through the courts, insisting the real reason he was pushed out was racial discrimination within the department. Every appeal failed. By 2013, that anger had curdled into something far more dangerous. In late January, several police officials received strange packages in the mail from Dorner, containing notes and a video defending his side of the story. Then, on February 1st, surveillance cameras caught him buying scuba tanks at a sporting goods store in Torrance, an odd detail that would later feel like a chilling piece of foreshadowing. Around the same time, he posted a sprawling manifesto online, naming specific LAPD officers, supervisors, and their family members, and declaring what he called unconventional and asymmetric warfare against the department unless it publicly admitted he had been fired unjustly. The violence began on February 3rd. Monica Kwan, the daughter of a retired LAPD captain who Dorner blamed for his firing, was found shot to death alongside her fiancé, Keith Lawrence, inside their car in a parking garage in Irvine. At first, investigators had no clear suspect. But once Dorner's manifesto surfaced the following day, naming Monica's father directly, it became clear this had been a targeted act of revenge and that he wasn't finished. Over the next several days, Dorner seemed to be everywhere and nowhere at once. On February 6th, he approached 2 Navy sailors near San Diego during a security training exercise and was recognized from news coverage the very next day. That same night, a man matching his description reportedly tried and failed to steal a boat from a San Diego marina. Early the following morning, in the city of Corona, Dorner allegedly opened fire on 2 LAPD officers who had been assigned to guard one of the people named in his manifesto, grazing one of them in the head before fleeing. A short time later and not far away, in Riverside, a gunman believed to be Dorner ambushed 2 police officers stopped at a red light, killing one and critically wounding the other. The panic that followed was almost unprecedented. Police departments across the region assigned protective details to dozens of officers and their families named in Dorner's manifesto. Fear ran so high that in Torrance, LAPD officers guarding one of those homes opened fire on a pickup truck they mistakenly believed belonged to Dorner. The truck actually belonged to 2 women delivering newspapers, and both were wounded in the shooting. Barely minutes later, a second truck was mistaken for Dorner's by a different set of officers, though no one was hurt that time. The city was on edge, and law enforcement's own trigger fingers were becoming part of the danger. Then, just as suddenly as the trail had gone hot, it went cold. A burned-out pickup truck registered to Dorner was discovered near the Big Bear Ski Resort in the San Bernardino Mountains. Schools in the area were placed on lockdown, and hundreds of officers flooded into the snowy terrain to search cabin by cabin, but for days, there was no further sign of him. It was during this exact stretch, while the entire Los Angeles Police Department and multiple allied agencies were consumed by the hunt for Dorner in the mountains, that the search for a missing tourist named Elisa Lam quietly stalled inside a downtown hotel most of the city had momentarily forgotten about. The standoff finally broke on February 12th. 2 cabin cleaners in the Big Bear area stumbled onto Dorner hiding inside a cabin and called it in. When police surrounded the building, a shootout erupted. 1 officer was killed and another wounded, and Dorner retreated deeper inside as the situation escalated. Authorities deployed tear gas into the cabin, and shortly afterward, the structure caught fire and burned to the ground. Investigators later confirmed through dental records that Dorner had died inside from what was ruled a self-inflicted gunshot wound, bringing the 9-day manhunt to an end. By the time it was over, Dorner had killed 4 people and wounded 3 more, and the case had consumed an extraordinary amount of law enforcement resources across 4 counties. It's a big part of why, when Elisa Lam's family first reported her missing in late January. And even as her case dragged into February, investigators had far less bandwidth to devote to a young woman who had simply vanished from a hotel, especially once national headlines turned entirely toward Dorner. It wasn't until his standoff ended in the mountains that attention and resources could fully return to the Cecil Hotel. Just 1 week before hotel guests began complaining about their water, and the horrifying truth of what had happened to Elisa was finally uncovered.